Carolina Panthers sitting at 4-3. Ian, what you think? Two wins against the Cowboys and the New York Jets. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. 3-game win streak. Um, Feels nice to be above 500, especially this early in the year, and looking like a solid team. We're kind of untested, and we got the Bills coming up next, which should be a good matchup. The Cowboys was a really good win, but the Dolphins and the Jets were kind of teams we should have won and should have beat. So definitely handled business, but we got tests coming up.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get into that today, along with our Buzz Boys with opening night tomorrow in Spectrum Center against the Brooklyn Nets. Buzzbound, thank you for joining us for season two, episode 7. Ian, you ready to get it going?
Let's get it, man.
All right, let's do it.
Touchdown, Carolina! You're listening to the Buzz Pound.
Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime.
A Queen City sports podcast covering your Charlotte Hornets and Carolina Panthers.
Halliburton, nowhere to go! LaMelo's done it! LaMelo's done it! Hornets win! Here comes LaMelo.
Here are your hosts, Ian Blair and Cam Gardner.
Buzzpound, thank you for joining us for season two, episode 7. Today we'll be covering our Panthers. We missed last week. Life got a little busy on both ends, but Cowboys win. That's always fun. You know those fans are. That felt good for us, honestly, especially getting revenge for last year. Ian, how'd you feel about that one?
Yeah, it was a really good game. I was surprised with how well we played. Cowboys have a good offense, and we were able to kind of neutralize their offense to an extent. We also put up enough points to win the game. I think our defense played really well overall in the game, and then that was a Rico Dowdle game again. Played really well, and I think Bryce looked really really good. But it was a good win. Anytime you're able to handle business and look competitive against I wouldn't call the Cowboys a good team. I'd call them, an average team, but definitely a team that could beat us on any given Sunday, and we handled business. And it was a really good win against the Cowboys.
And a pretty high scoring game too. Ended up being a 30 to 27 walk-off game with the Fitzgerald field goal for the win. Felt pretty good, man. Like you said, I don't see the Cowboys as a great team either. They're average, I would say. But Rico, he said going into the game he was going to make it difficult for them, and he absolutely did. He is really showing what he's about against his former team and just in general. We'll get into the Jets game later with him and Chuba both playing, but he's really been standing out, man. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. Hoping he can keep it up without getting hurt now that he's not taking all the reps majority. But go into a little bit of stats here. Um, like you said, we're above 500. It's been a while, especially this early in the season. It feels good being there. Bryce Young threw for 199 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and led a critical game-winning drive, which was huge. That was everything to secure that game. They took all advantage. Couldn't be more proud of him, honestly. He really stepped up to the plate. His game managing has really, really increased. We didn't start off very well this season, but right now we're at 4-3, and his game managing has really been a big factor.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think anytime you're able to run the ball as well as we have been, it definitely helps. This past week we weren't able to run the ball as well as we did the previous 2 weeks. I think that had something a little bit to do with kind of the low scoring game, and we barely squeaked it out against the winless Jets. But anytime you're able to run the ball, it's really easy for your quarterback. Play action game kind of works out and it's easier to throw the ball, especially down the field. And Tet had his not only first touchdown in the NFL, but also his second against the Cowboys, which was good to see. And yeah, we were able to run the ball really well, blocked really well, and then we'll talk about it in a second, but against the Jets, we weren't able to run the ball as well, and kind of splitting carries. I still think is a good idea. It's going to hit eventually. I mean, these guys are really talented, both Chuba and Rico. So I'm not worried about it. Our running game long term. We've been able to run the ball really well all pretty much all year. I think the Bills going to be a really big test because, Bryce is out with a sprained ankle, which is a huge deal, starting Andy Dalton and kind of see what he can do. I mean, he definitely still has arm talent and can throw the ball down the field. It just depends on, how good our run game is, because I think it's vital for our run game to be good again against the Bills for us to have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, for sure. That Bryce Young injury definitely was my probably low point to take away from that Jets game. You hate to see it, especially with the run and tear we've been on. And going into the Bills, you hope that he would be healthy going against them. We'll get into that a little bit, but like you said, Dalton, he's still got arm talent. We saw him multiple games last year. Hopefully, he'll come out pretty strong and can help us at least make it competitive. Bills, we know what they are offensively. I do feel like they have a little bit of lack in their defense, just a little.
Mm,
And I feel like that could be an advantage for us getting down the field with Chuba. I mean, oh yeah, Chuba and Dowdle,
mm,
both, especially with what they can do. So we just need to make use of that every single possession and hopefully, pass down the field as well. Because they don't have the best defense, but with us, our running game is there. There's no question about that. And if Ted can keep doing what he's doing, Jimmy Horn can keep doing what he's doing, along with the other receivers on our team. I mean, Leggett, I want to give a special shout out to him. He stepped up. Wouldn't necessarily say he's wide receiver one, which he was, gassed up to be, but he's been making up a little bit for those, drops or passes he should have caught earlier in the season. So, he can get touchdowns now. He's actually catching touchdowns when he should be. Very crucial moments, but I just wanted to give him a little bit of highlight there because it he's an important piece, but we're making use with what we have as well. So, and Jalen Coker made his season debut. Wasn't a whole lot of action from him, but I feel like in due time he'll make some noise. But I'm gonna go to a little bit of stats and such here, or a few highlights at least. J.C. Horn, man, one-handed interception.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
him. He is
yeah.
him. That is that guy. Oh man, I am so glad he got his money with us. He's such a talent. And man, I mean, we knew what that game was coming to. They benched
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields by that point and put Tyrod Taylor in. So we already knew how that was going to end up. They got a lot of work to do. They're at 0-6 now. Honestly, if you ask me after the first and second game, I would have thought that would have been us at this point. But luckily we turned it around. So thankfully we're not that down bad. We'll have to see what the rest of the season will bring us. But Xavier Leggett again, he had a solid day, a career best, 9 receptions for 92 yards, and the Panthers' only touchdown. And again, like we mentioned, that my personal low light is Bryce Young leaving the third quarter with the right ankle injury after a sack. And now it's already confirmed that he's not going to play. I mean, it's Ray Rifle time. Hopefully he can do what he can still do. Like you said, the arm talent's still there. But if there's a veteran, I feel like that could go against, the Bills. I think it could be him as a backup. I think he can make something happen with our team. I know Dave Canales said that to him, our team isn't much different with Bryce Young or Andy Dalton at quarterback. I'm not sure how you feel about that. That was kind of intriguing to me because I never really thought about that personally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we saw last year when Andy Dalton, he had a couple rough games, but his first game out against when Bryce Young got benched after the first 2 weeks against the Raiders, Andy Dalton played really well. And I think this team's better. I mean, we made improvements, especially the receiver. He has really that number one option in Ted McMillan. And I think this offense is better this year than it was last year. I think it's going to benefit him a lot. I don't really expect a huge drop off, at least for one week. If we're starting Andy Dalton for 3 or 4 weeks, I think it could be problematic. But one week against the Bills, I think our defense has been played really well recently, pretty much all year. I mean, Derek Brown had 2 sacks against the Jets. J.C. Horn had 2 interceptions. So I think our defense, as long as they play well against the Bills and kind of try to neutralize Josh Allen as much as you can, I think we have a shot. And, as long as we don't turn the ball over, Andy Dalton's got arm talent. As I mentioned, he could throw the ball down the field. Probably he might have better, arm talent than Bryce in a way. I don't know. I don't know if he's as accurate as Bryce. Bryce really is really accurate and everything like that. But Andy Dalton has a stronger arm. Bryce is little guy, 5'10", 5'11". Andy Dalton 6'3", 6'4". So, definitely has the arm strength to get the ball down the field. It's just going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, he doesn't turn the ball over because, I say it all the time on this podcast. When you turn the ball over and give Josh Allen good field position, it's going to be troublesome, and it puts our defense, who's really been not in problematic situations the past couple weeks. It puts them in problematic situations whenever you turn the ball over. Um, but yeah, man, I think this is definitely a winnable game, especially with how the Bills have been playing. They've been down this year. They lost to the Falcons, who we beat earlier in this year. Um, and obviously they have MVP Josh Allen, who's arguably the best player in the NFL. But if we play like we have been the past couple weeks, I think it's definitely a winnable game. And we'll see what he has on Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. And until my boss at work mentioned it, because he's a diehard Bills fan, he actually admitted he was a little nervous of going into the Panthers because he actually went to the Bills versus Falcons game and saw that L. And to go against us about 2 weeks later, he admitted that he thinks it is a possibility that we could beat them. And now that we got Red Rifle, he said his group chat of friends, they all had the assumption that Red Rifle may come in and actually beat Josh Allen and the Bills. So, but the one thing I will say that they may be a disadvantage for us, they're coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
So they got a bit of rest, and I feel like they'll probably come out strong. So we're gonna have to, bring everything we have, especially with our defense. We already know what their offense is, but we can't, go easy on these guys. I mean, like you said, MVP, Josh Allen, we know what he is. He's him. But hopefully our defense can at least help a little. But our offense is going to be major key in this game since their defense, I feel like our offense is a advantage over their defense, like I mentioned earlier. But it's a winnable game. Earlier in the season, I would not have been saying that at all, but I do think we can compete with some of the best now, the way we've been playing. It'll be a test, but I do think we can be competitive now. If you asked me this 2 or 3 weeks ago, it would have been no question. I would have said absolutely not. But now I actually do have a little bit of faith in these guys to help, pull it off a little bit. But it's also going to depend on quarterback health, depending how long Bryce Young is out, because I don't think long term keeping Andy Dalton out there will be successful. He had a good maybe 2 games or so when he was starting a little bit last year. But then, obviously he struggled and the car accident happened, and who knows how much longer he would have played. But Bryce Young ultimately came back out and was balling at the end of last season. So that's going to be a huge factor. But I agree with you. I do think it's a winnable game. And, depending if hopefully it's not the case, but depending on how Dalton plays, we also brought on, backup Mike White. You remember he had a few games with the Jets that he helped win, but I guess that's what they're possibly holding on to just in case if Dalton isn't playing well and Bryce Young is out for, an additional amount of time. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the addition of Mike White's just depth. We got to have an extra quarterback on the roster because if Andy Dalton got hurt or something like that, we would be kind of screwed because we don't have another quarterback. So we kind of had to bring a quarterback onto the roster, just as depth. And if Andy Dalton's not playing good, that's not a good sign because I don't have a whole lot of faith in Mike White. But yeah, with the Bills coming off a bye week, I think I saw a stat there under Sean McDermott, they're 8-0 after a bye week, which makes sense. When you have a bye week, you get rest and are able to scout your opponent for a extended period of time. And, especially with them coming off of 2 losses, I believe, back to back. I know they lost to the Falcons. I believe they had a loss to the Patriots too, have been playing really well. It's definitely going to be a a bounce back game for them. They're going to be fired up to play, and definitely wanting to get back in the swing of things. But I think with how good we've been playing recently and how much momentum we have, I think, it really is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be back and forth. Um, and hopefully we could pull it out. I mean, like I mentioned, the Patriots loss doesn't look as bad now anymore because the Patriots are playing so well. I believe they only have one or two losses, and they're playing really good. Drake May has been playing really well. Mike Vrabel's got them guys over there playing really well. So hopefully we can pull it out. Definitely a big game. If we could win this one, we move to 5-3, which would be huge, and really set us up for the rest of the season. I think, playoffs potentially could be on the table if we can continue to play well. The Bucks dropped one last night at the time we were recording this podcast, and it's still anybody's division. Hopefully, we can continue to compete well and keep climbing the rankings.
Yeah, definitely so. And I will make one other, highlight in regards to going into this game. Our running backs, I feel like, are a advantage as well. Having both Chuba and Dowdle. I'll go over their stats real quick. And from that Jets game, Dowdle had 17 carries, 79 yards. Chuba had 14 carries, 31 yards. So if they both can continue to combine for, yards like that, that's going to be huge, especially going against that defense.
Yeah, I agree, and it's really important for our offensive line to block well. I mean, the Bills haven't been playing super good on defense this year, so it's really important. I mean, I think our offense is going to be in a good situation, and Andy Dalton's going to have the weapons around him to get it done. We, like you mentioned, Jalen Coker coming back. I mean, we have guys healthy. Jatavian Sanders is back as well. I saw him play against the Jets. So we have pretty much all our offensive weapons for the most part healthy and back. So I think we're firing all cylinders on offense at least. So it's going to be huge for us and a big game against the Bills, who hopefully we can win and move on to 5-3 because that would be huge. I mean, a couple weeks ago when we played the Patriots, I was upset, and I mean we should have beat the Cardinals. Looking back on it as well, getting down in a hole early and not able to climb out of it. But we're right where we need to be, and we just got to keep winning and keep going in the right direction. And that could be ugly wins like it was last week against the Jets. That was not a pretty win, but we got the job done at the end of the day. So that's really all that matters, is that you win the game at the end of the day.
Hey, win is a win, if you ask me, especially as a Panther fan. So I'll take any win, ugly, great win, whatever it is. I'll take an ugly win any day. Even, yeah, like you said, that was not a pretty win at all, but I will take it just because it's in our advantage. So,
Yeah, for sure. And if we win, we win against the Bills. We've tied last year's win total. So at 5 wins, we've already tied it really halfway through the season. So that would be huge. Hopefully we can get to 5 wins here in the next couple weeks. Um, and it kind of shows that we made some improvements from last year. And keeping Canales, I think, was a good move. Kind of everybody getting in the flow of things, and the roster obviously got better. It was hard to get a lot worse from last year because we were really depleted in some areas, but team's looking good. I don't, not a Super Bowl winning team by any means, or a playoff winning team, but if we could just continue to play better, I think we're improving week by week, which is important. I think we're getting better. Um, and the team's really starting to buy in and play together.
absolutely. I mean, you got Canales, who's looking like a decent, coach. I'm not going to say he's great. I'm not going to fully say he's good, but it seemed like he's meshing with the guys pretty well right now. Him and
Mhm.
Bryce Young seem to be eye to eye. A few weeks ago, I thought they were just a recipe for disaster. I'm not going to say, they're a perfect match. We still got to see what more they can do. But I know there was also, friction between the staff in regard to who was the play caller. And I'm assuming they got that figured out because even the defensive coach, EJ Vero, I mean, he's looking solid right now with our defense. So we'll see how long that continues because there was a lot of hype in him coming to the Panthers. So hopefully they can keep this, whatever this chemistry is, hopefully they can keep it because it's at a solid place right now to be able to keep building on from, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, defense has been playing well, and Avaro's, he had really good defenses, or a couple really good defenses, in Denver for a few years. And now that we have pieces, hopefully we get Turk Wharton back here in the next couple weeks. He's been hurt. I don't know if he's on IR or just been hurt, but Derek Brown's been playing really well. I mean, we had 6 sacks against the Jets, who don't have a really good offensive line, but still, and we really played well on defense, only holding the 3 points, I believe. So that was huge, and we just got to play. So we got to. Josh Allen's always going to get his. He's going to have some. He's going to have some touchdown throws. He's probably going to run for a couple. But at the end of the day, we just got to neutralize them as best as we can, and also keep up the pace on offense. We definitely got to score some points because they are going to put up points, regardless of how good our defense plays. They're going to score. So I think it's definitely a winnable game. I'm hoping that we come out strong. The Bills are going to be coming out strong too. Coming off the bye week, getting some guys healthy, having time to game plan a little bit extra time, and they're going to be coming out hungry. But I think we should win this one.
Yeah, man, I agree. I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be a fun game. Hopefully, we can keep it together, keep building on what we got, and hopefully secure another dub. If not, keep it competitive and at least be satisfied, even if it is a loss. Hopefully, it's not a bad loss if we
Yeah,
lose.
yeah, I
So,
agree.
well, basketball's back, man. Tonight, by the time we, release this episode on Saturday, Hornets will already have played the Brooklyn Nets. They came off a preseason. You had a few standouts. I'll go over a little bit of stats here. Con Knipple, he had a solid 12 points per game for the most part. Um, we made a trade for Colin Sexton, approximately 14.4 points per game. I think he's a solid offensive addition to the backcourt. And Brandon Miller had about 14.5 points per game, had some strong moments showing, he's ready for that bigger role. But it's just one of those crucial years. We talked about it, at the beginning of the season about this an important year, not just for the team, but for LaMelo as well. It's time for him to prove he can lead, and with the East being open, there's no reason for us not to make a postseason, even if we got to go through the play in this year. We've got to do it, and it's very crucial on LaMelo. He's the face of the franchise, has been that pretty much since he's arrived. He averaged about 17.2 points per game with the 5.2 assists per game. Miles Bridges, 16.8 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game, looking sharp. Limited minutes, obviously ramping up for the season, but it's an important year overall. I will say I'm not sure how much you watched preseason, Ian, but defense definitely was a lack. And that doesn't surprise me with these guys. They all about, that's just kind of how these guys are. I mean, this era of the NBA is all about offense and scoring. Defense isn't a huge factor anymore like it used to be. But those guys are going to need to tighten up because they can't let all of these points go because that's really what can secure games for opponents. And that's just something all of our players are going to have to, get on the wave of.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's talking about going into the season. It's nice to have everybody healthy, at least for game one. For the most part, I saw LaMelo is in for tomorrow, and we got pretty much everybody's playing. Um, I feel like this team would be so much better if they bought in on defense. Just around the league, you look at the NBA, really nobody's really super great on defense. I mean, just the amount of points that are being scored each night, it's just ridiculous. I mean, 140, 150 points a night, for your team. And that's what I'm worried about with this team. I have no doubt in my mind that we can go out and score 130, 140 points, but at the same time, I'm not sure we can keep the other team from scoring 150. So that worries me a little bit that we haven't been playing super well on defense in the preseason. It's a little bit concerning, but I saw some clips and I watched about a half of a game, and Colin Sexton looked really good. Diabate looked really good. I think he's definitely going to have a bounce back year. Even though he had a good year, I think he's going to have an improved year because he's going to have a bigger role. I mean, he's really our center at the moment. Our center rotation's kind of weak in my opinion, but hopefully the guys can play really well, and the additions of the rookies and Colin Sexton, um, bringing back Trey Mann's going to be huge off the bench. I think that he's going to be a spark like he was last year before he got hurt, and really, hopefully, everybody can stay healthy. That's really, really important because if we have some injuries, or if we don't have injuries and the team's playing poorly you know, at midseason, I think there's going to be some shakeup, on the roster. And I don't know what that looks like, but I think LaMelo could be out, might fire coaches. I don't know. But we just been moving in the wrong direction these past couple of years. And we're, this is a prime opportunity for this team. We continue to make improvements on the roster and, bring in young guys and having these top picks. So hopefully Khan can play really well and show why we drafted him, top five in the NBA draft. But I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic. Hopefully we can, stay in the pack, stay at around 500 record, and not be one of the bottom teams in the league again.
And that's exactly all it's been for the past few years. Literally, if it wasn't at the bottom, we were at least third from the bottom. Man, it never fully makes sense with this team because it just seems like we've got talent to be better than what we are, but there's just a lot of things we lack. It's such a young team, and it's always been that way. We don't have that true veteran leader. And I mean, LaMelo's going into what, his sixth year now. So it's time for him to step up. He is the leader, he is the face. That front office, if this doesn't work out, they're going to have some conversations. But hopefully he's taking it serious now because I love having him in Charlotte. Um, Ever since he's been there, he's been exciting. He's made us at least keeps our name floating around, even though a lot of people don't give a rip about our team, but or always at least knock our team for being, having a bad reputation in the league. But it's just one of those important years, and I'll definitely be watching. I watch them anyway, but I'll really be paying attention more because this first half of the season is going to be very important. And having Trey Mann back will be huge. Coming off the bench, they already said he will play tomorrow, which I'm happy because he was, solid coming off the bench last season, but then ultimately got hurt and missed a lot of season. I think that was big factor of not having him in that six-man position. Sexton, I'm excited to have him. He's a dog. We all know that. I'm hoping he'll be a great addition to help in the way he can. Center position is a little questionable because we brought back Mason Plumlee. We got Diabate. We'll see how that pans out. This is our first season in the past two without Mark Williams.
Mhm.
So, I'll admit I will miss that guy a little bit because when he came back, he had some good games, but still a little rough around the edges. And then the whole trade, and then that got reversed somehow. I still question that to this day because I did not know you could do that. But,
Yeah.
you know, um, I'm excited basketball is back. I love watching hoops and seeing the guys doing their thing as well as they potentially can. Hopefully, we can be better than what we were last year, and hopefully, health can be on our side this year because with this team, health is always an issue of some sort. So, hopefully, LaMelo can keep it together. Hopefully, Miller can keep it together. Hopefully, Miles Bridges can keep doing him because he had a few games last season where he was not even a few, it was a handful or more than a handful of games last season where he had a dry spell. I mean, he wasn't really contributing much. He was struggling. So hopefully, with all the main guys together, with the addition of Colin Sexton and the rookie Con Knipple, hopefully we can do something because Knipple showed what he can do in that summer league when we ultimately got the summer league championship. So hopefully he can actually bring that to the real level of the NBA.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be huge. Last year we dealt with all those injuries, Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Trey Mann, Mark Williams. I mean, the whole team was pretty much dismantled at one point, but really, I think it's going to be huge if this team can stay healthier, stay healthy for the most part. Injuries are going to happen here and there. It's part of playing sports, but we just can't lose the whole roster again or half the roster and all of our starters. That's going to be really, really tough. And hopefully we have some guys step up. Khan, I know we Cal Brenner, the rookie center, I believe, out of Creighton, I think is where he went to school, but hopefully he plays well and we can have a veteran leader step up because Mason Plumlee is really the only veteran, like old guy that we have on the roster, and I don't think he's going to play a whole lot of minutes. So we really need LaMelo to step up and be that leader. And if not, then who knows? We could be trading him at the trade deadline and looking at Brandon Miller being the face of the franchise. So yeah, I think it's a really, really crucial year for LaMelo and really important for him to play well and play good on defense. I mean, we haven't really ever seen LaMelo play well on defense in his NBA career, but it would be nice if he could add that part to his game and kind of be more of a well-rounded player instead of just a scorer. But I guess we'll see, man. Game 1 tomorrow night against the Brooklyn Nets. What are you kind of expecting from the game?
Hoping for at least a competitive game. Brooklyn Nets, they're not a spectacular team. So, I mean, we aren't either, but I feel like these are two teams kind of cut from a similar cloth. I think we can't beat them personally. I genuinely do. They don't have Mikal Bridges anymore, Cam Thomas. They don't have any of those guys. So I feel like hopefully we can get an advantage. Defense is going to be crucial in any game we play. That's very important. And we can't just have like one or two guys. We need all guys contributing defensively. So it's at home, Spectrum Center. So hopefully that'll be an advantage as well. Having the hype of, the home crowd cheering us on. I'll be watching. I always watch the boys. So hoping we can pull it off and at least, start the season off with a dub. That's what I'm at least hoping for. And, that's what I expect to see. What about yourself, man?
Yeah, I kind of right there with you. I think I'm hoping all our stars play well, stars, all of our good players, all our young guys play well, especially Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball. I think it's really crucial that they play well because we're really relying on them to have for the majority of our success. I'm excited to see Trey Mann because I'm a really big Trey Mann guy. And then Colin Sexton. I really like watching Colin Sexton play. He hit some really good threes in the preseason games that I watched. But yeah, I'll be tuned in. I'm excited. Hopefully we get the dub. And yeah, man.
Hey, Hoops is back. I'm happy overall. Hopefully the boys can give us something. And again, they need to take advantage this year. The East is open.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum, he's out for the year. Tyrese Halliburton, he's out for the year. Bucks, they don't have Damian Lillard anymore. I mean, it's wide open. I mean, I don't expect us to win anything, but there's no reason for us not to be in the postseason, honestly. And I mean, teams like us, teams like Atlanta, I mean, it's open to anybody at this point. So we just got to take advantage, man. That's the important piece right there. And they need to realize that and take it all serious. Playtime's over for LaMelo. He's in a serious prove it stage right now. He's got to show that he is that guy for our organization. He can lead and he can get us to where we want to be.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And there is really no reason we should not at least be in a play-in spot. I mean, with the talent we have on the roster, yes, we're unproven, but we have talented guys. There's no reason we shouldn't be in a play-in spot, in my personal opinion, especially if everybody stays healthy. We really need to be at least in a play-in spot and look competitive, be around, a little bit above 500. That'd be huge. That'd be more than I asked for, honestly, with this Hornets team. But Buzzpound, as always, we appreciate y'all joining us for season 2, episode 7, I believe. As always, you can follow us on both X and Instagram at BuzzpoundPod, and you can find our podcast on both Spotify and YouTube.
Buzzpound, we appreciate you for joining us. Always keep pounding and keep the hot mentality.
Ready? Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Buzzpound. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and let us know what you thought of this episode. Until next time, this is the Buzzpound.
Touchdown.